Hello girls. So today you're going to think about Manchester's socio-economic challenges. So that's a word you might not have heard before. We'll get to that in a second. And you're going to find out basically what the social and economic challenges are in Manchester. So we've looked at the opportunities, now we need to think about some of the issues. So first of all, what does socio-economic mean? Well, socio-economic is pretty simple really. It's just a combination between the social and the economic aspects or factors. So we're thinking about how people and their money are affected. Here's some examples of what is going on here, what some of the issues are. So these are similar images. We can find some of these kind of things around Manchester. So in our first picture, you can see we've got some boarded windows, some boarded shops, and this is all to do with deprivation. Urban deprivation is when people have a standard of living below the majority in a particular society. So that can involve hardship, so having tough lives, and a lack of access to resources, so things they need to survive. Places that suffer from urban deprivation have visible differences in housing and economic opportunities. So if we're talking about housing, not only can we see these windows and the shop fronts on the left-hand picture closed up, but we can also see in this middle picture we've got whole buildings boarding up. That's because people have moved away from the area because there's been no work, no money, no opportunities for them. And on the right, we've got a familiar sight that we get more and more, unfortunately, now these days, with people queuing up outside the job centre. So these people are people who cannot work. Maybe they're ill, maybe they haven't got the language skills, maybe they've just come into bad luck. But people who are looking for work. So we've got poor quality houses, we've got loss of industry, things like shopping, and we've got lots of unemployment. These are three major issues which can lead to people becoming deprived. And when you're deprived, that means you are suffering a severe and damaging lack of basic material and cultural benefits. So all of those opportunities we mentioned last week aren't here for everyone, unfortunately. So Manchester actually has a housing problem because of this. You might want to pause me and think about what these four images could mean on the board. They're symbols that I've used before, so hopefully you understand. Okay, hopefully you've had a chance to pause it and have a little think. So, first of all, we've got the top image of the housing. This is representing that there's poor quality inner city housing which needs improving by the council. So a lot of the housing right in the city centre is actually in very bad quality. It might be damp, falling apart, the roofs might be bad, but the council needs to improve it, and that's going to cost money. But in the meantime, while it's not, people will be suffering. On the top right, we've got widespread homelessness. So this is a result of the fact that not everyone's working or earning a lot of money, and they can't afford the accommodation or the rising costs of accommodation anyway, because city centres start to get expensive. On the bottom left, we've got kind of a warning, a danger. So many private landlords fail to keep up with maintenance work, so they're not looking after the buildings for people, which could be dangerous and affecting people's health and safety. Obviously there's a cost to fixing them. And in the bottom right, we've got the picture of the people. So that's representing our population density. So Manchester's population is currently growing almost 15 times faster than properties are being built. So there's not even enough housing for people. So another issue in Manchester is that there's poor quality housing. There's a lot of homelessness because of the high costs. The housing might be dangerous or unsafe, and the population is growing, so there's not actually enough houses for all the people that we've got. Let's have a look at another example of this deprivation, this socio-economic problem in Manchester, and how it's not the same in every part of the city. So this is a map of Manchester, a choropleth map, so it's in different colours. This is actually showing GCSE pass rates. The greener it is, the more GCSEs people come out of school with. That's level 4 plus. The redder it is means the less they get. Have a little pause and think about what you notice about this map. Where is the reddest areas? Where are people getting fewer GCSEs? And where are the greener areas? Where are people getting more GCSEs? What does that tell us? So hopefully you've had a chance to pause it and have a little think about what that map's showing. So we can see in areas such as Sale, down in the bottom here in the south west, or in Didsbury even in this green area in the south, there's a very high pass rate. In fact, approximately 51.4% of people are getting more than 5 GCSE passing grades. So that's using this key here. We can also see that South Manchester in general, so the whole of South Manchester here, tends to have a higher pass rate than the rest of it. However, in areas such as Failsworth and North Manchester, less than 19% of people. So you can see Failsworth here is a very red area. So what I've done there, and you might remember, is I've actually used T, trend, example, anomaly. The trend is here saying South Manchester tends to have a higher GCSE pass rate. An example is what's happened in Sale, and an anomaly is where I've talked about Failsworth being the opposite of that. You're going to have a little look at this yourself in one of the activities. So the reasons we've got for this are the fact that everyone comes into the school with the same chances, the same schooling. Unfortunately, things might be happening in people's lives and society that's affecting their education. So many lower income families often have what we call lower aspirations, where they think, well, parents might say, I didn't get any GCSEs, so I didn't get any exam grades, what do you need them for? Or people just don't aspire to getting a very good job because around them no one does that either. So it can affect attendance and it can affect grades. Some areas of Manchester are popular with international migrants. And that's not saying international migrants don't get very good grades. Many migrants are very, very intelligent. However, the language barriers to begin with could affect their GCSE grades. So if you came into school in year 11 without being able to speak English, it might have hurt your GCSE grades more than if you came to school in year 7 not speaking English. And lastly, the quality of schools may vary significantly from place to place. There might be issues in funding and the amount of children they're getting into schools, or the types of teachers, unfortunately, some places get, where schooling can be better or worse. So there can be a variety in schools. Luckily at Whalley Range, you're getting the best. How do I know that? Well, the map proves it. Whalley Range, we're right here. We're getting very high green grades. So well done, girls. Keep it up. I want to see that staying on this map in years to come. Here's another example, a map you might be familiar with. This is the Metrolink map of Manchester. Except there's numbers on it this time, and these numbers are showing life expectancy. So the amount of time, the amount of years you're expected to live changes depending on where you live in Manchester. So, for example, a place like Didsbury or a more affluent area like Sale tends to have a higher life expectancy. So we can see Sale here, 82 for women, 74 for men. Women always tend to live longer than men. Whereas if we compare that to a more deprived area, an area with a lot of poverty, we can see that there are some young people who aren't living as old. So if we look at Rochdale all the way over here, women are only living to 74 on average there, and men only 66. It's the same city, but because of the differences within it, some areas have more money, more access to services, better education, better healthcare maybe, that they're living longer. So we've got all this evidence of differences. On the next slide, take a look at what Andy Burnham's saying. He's our mayor, and he's going to talk about his major issues in Manchester.
Hi, it's Andy. Day one in the office. Well, actually, not yet in the office because I've come to the city centre to speak to people who've been here overnight sleeping rough. Promised to do something about it, and that's why I'm here. I wanted to find out why, the reasons behind people having to be here. Many of them are very complex, so the issues aren't easy to solve, but I said I'll do something about it. We will do something about it by 2020. I don't want anybody to be here who doesn't have to be here. We want to end rough sleeping by that time. That's why I've launched the Mayor's Homelessness Fund this morning. If you can help, please do. In this day and age, nobody should be on these cold streets. And though it's May, I can tell you it's still quite cold this morning. So it's a real drive that we're going to launch here. We're going to show that Greater Manchester does things in a better way than the rest. And with your help, we can end rough sleeping by 2020.